pregnancy can be an absolute rollercoaster ride for both moms and dads to be. Fortunately, that means there are plenty of highs to go along with the lows. Indeed, not all pregnancy-related problems are anything to worry about, some are just hilarious, as these husbands can attest. Not that they have much room to complain, of course, they aren't the ones carrying tiny humans around inside themselves. Husbands and fathers-to-be, we hope you're not a fan of strawberry, or chocolate, or vanilla. Because one of those flavors is basically guaranteed to get devoured when your wife's pregnant. And the next day, another one, when her cravings change. Basically, the next 9 months will be ice cream free for you. Pregnancy can wreak havoc on the body, so it's not uncommon to feel sleepier than usual. And that fatigue can require moms-to-be to take naps in some unusual places. Like this woman, who's managed to fall asleep at a hockey game. Even while pregnant, we're not sure how she's sleeping through that. Speaking of tiredness, it can really put paid to plans you might have together. This expectant mother, for instance, was all geared up for a day of watching football and eating nachos with her partner. Until, that is, her body had other ideas. His expression says he totally gets it, thankfully. The bright pink ink may say friendly and fun, but the message it spells out is anything but. Still, at least this guy knows where he stands with his wife. Indeed, there's really no risk of not getting the message across when it's as hilariously brutal as this. When your wife's pregnant, it's a good idea to keep her as comfortable as possible, even if it's at the expense of your own comfort when she gets too hot. She's carrying a baby for you, after all. So, it's no wonder that this guy is happy to wrap himself in blankets to make sure that their home is the ideal temperature for his wife. The high life doesn't mesh well with pregnancy, so you have to try to spoil yourself in any way you can. That's why this expectant mom looks so happy, despite being in bed by 8:30 p.m. After all, who wouldn't be smiling when covered in their own pillow fort? As this husband wisely observes, pregnant women can be vicious. And based on the surprise his wife left him for breakfast, he's not wrong. But then again, he doesn't really have an excuse to eat fudge rounds first thing anyway. Unlike his expectant wife, when your wife is pregnant, you should know that you need to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in that respect, then, leaving your phone in your car is probably not the wisest move. Just ask this husband, who came back to 11 missed calls and a whopping 155 texts. Those pregnancy cravings can be absolutely fierce, so it's worth making sure that your husband knows exactly how much food to get when he visits the grocery store. Like this mom-to-be, who was clearly desperate for an unquantifiable amount of cereal. Then again, a buttload seems like a pretty accurate measure. Married life isn't always rosy, but at least arguments usually have some rhyme and reason behind them. During pregnancy, though, those reasons aren't always so easy to pin down. This husband, then, came up with the perfect way to apologize for, well, whatever it was that he did. Rookie error from this dad-to-be. Yes, he opened this once delicious dessert and had one piece. And then, he left it inside of his pregnant wife. What else he expected to happen, we'll never know. Still, hopefully he'll have learned from his mistake and in future will just give her the entire thing to begin with. Apparently, this guy's wife said that she'd left some guacamole for him in the fridge. Only she obviously didn't say quite how little she'd left. But really, he should be grateful he'd been left anything at all. Never get between a pregnant woman and gack. The simple act of going for a brisk walk turns into something else completely when your wife's pregnant. Indeed, now you have to pack what is basically a small feast to sustain her through the journey, meaning plenty of prep time and, of course, breaks to stop and eat. We hope you're not used to being lovely and toasty at home if your wife's pregnant. After all, once she is, that thermostat will be permanently down to accommodate her needs. In the interests of keeping harmony in your household, though, we'd recommend just buying a very thick sweater and a hat. Waiting on your pregnant wife hand and foot can often be a more literal prospect than you might first think. Just ask this husband, who's painting his wife's toenails because she can no longer reach them. Still, it seems like a small price to pay to not have to personally go through the whole childbirth thing. No matter whether the weather's balmy or horrendous, if your pregnant wife has a weirdly specific craving, you've got to fulfill it. For this husband, that meant driving through a blizzard to pick up food from DQ. But hey, it could have been so much worse. At least her cravings were for things that were somewhat accessible, as if having a baby wasn't expensive enough already. Grocery shopping during the pregnancy is a total money sink. This couple, for instance, just went to the store for milk and baby formula. And, naturally, it all just spiraled out of control from there. We're not saying this is the weirdest food combo we've ever seen, but, yeah, this is definitely the weirdest food combo we've ever seen. Just remember, never question what your pregnant wife asks for, no matter how strange it may seem. And definitely don't remind her what she's just eaten at any point, unless you want to see it come straight back up. If you want to get your groceries home in one piece, it's probably a good idea to buy extras. After all, this dad-to-be hadn't even started the car before his pregnant wife had begun devouring the muffins they just bought. Cravings truly can strike at any moment. This expectant mom apparently forgot to put the filling in her husband's sandwiches. The real question here, though, is why on earth wasn't he just making his own sandwiches anyway? It's not like his wife doesn't already have her own burden to carry, after all.